Hi everybody, I'm Matthew Poes with Poes Acoustics, and on this video I'm going to talk about Class D amplifiers and why I think they are the future. So I recently got back from a Massimo consumer event. For those that don't know what Massimo is, Massimo originally was a health sensor company. They are a health sensor company, and they bought Sound United, which is who bought D and M Holdings, Denon and Marantz. So it used to have Boston Acoustics. They kind of have gone away. Class A audio, not a lot going on there either, but there's Denon, Marantz, Polk Audio, Definitive Technology, Bowers and Wilkins. So with Class D amplification, you have a kind of amplifier that's using a switching device that switches it at a very, very high frequency, and then it modulates that based on the music signal that's going in. There's some filtering that's done to get rid of the high frequency noise, and what comes out is a clean signal that replicates the musical signal that went in. Class A B amps, Class A amps don't work that way. They don't have that high frequency switching. I'm not going to get into the details of exactly how amplifiers work and amplify a signal, but with a Class A amplifier, you're typically looking at like 15 to 20% efficiency if you're lucky. They're not that efficient, meaning the vast majority of energy gets wasted. With a Class A B amp, maybe as good as 65%, maybe, but probably not 70%. There are some Class H versions that have gotten up into like the 80s. Again, maybe, and that's only if they're at the higher output levels. When they're down kind of more idling or just doing a couple of watts, they don't actually tend to be quite that efficient, nor is a Class A B amp, nor is a Class D amp. The best Class D amps are now in like the mid 90s, even getting into the upper 90s, so 95 to 97% efficient. And yeah, they're not that efficient at lower power levels, but they're much more efficient than Class A and Class AB amps. So Marantz is now using Ice Edge amplifier modules in their newest Amp 10. I think they're going to be using these in their receivers as well. And I think this is an extremely important and smart move. Today's Class D amplifiers, like the Hypex amplifiers, the Purify amplifiers, this Ice Edge module, and the Pascal modules are another one. These are all really good. They measure extremely well. They have signal-to-noise ratios that are well in excess of 110. Some of them are in excess of 120. Dynamic range on some of the best of them are like 130 to 140. This is like feasible numbers you can hit with the very best designed amplifiers today. So these are ridiculously good dynamic range numbers. They have distortion levels that are so insanely low that they're practically immeasurable. And they have very wide bandwidth down to DC and up to well past 20. I mean, 30, 40 to 50 kilohertz is not unheard of with these Class D amps now, even with the filtering that's done to get rid of that super high frequency noise. And so the Class D amplifiers are actually better than the best Class AB amplifiers in terms of technical performance. One of the things they used to have a lot of problems with was they were very reactive, meaning that the frequency response would change with a reactive load. They don't do that anymore on the best amplifiers, which use a filter. The feedback loop is on the outside of the filter, so it's accounting for the filter. And that's the way all the amps I just mentioned work. So these Class D amps basically should not be looked at as sounding bad. They actually sound extremely good, better than the best Class AB amplifiers in terms of noise, distortion, output. The frequency response now is basically just as good. There's little things that might be worse, but most of them are not audible, and most Class AB amps are worse in other ways. So the amps are better, and they're very, very efficient. Well, we're now looking at receivers that need to have 11 to 16 channels of amplification, sound systems that might actually need 20 or 30 channels of amplification, and they all need to run on one, maybe two 20 amp circuits. And that's really difficult to do. So the best amplifiers that we should be using in receivers really need to be Class D. They're better. So I hope you find this helpful. I really do want to see this get pushed through as the new future in amplification in all receivers. I think you shouldn't be afraid of them. You really need to give them a shot if you've been anti-Class D over the years. Subscribe to my channel, and there'll be more fun content like this coming. Thank you.